In late 2025, the world's eyes turned to Venezuela, not for its turmoil, not for the headlines of crisis and conflict that had dominated the news for years, but for something entirely different. For once, the focus was not on the shortages, the protests, or the political deadlock, but on a rare and unexpected moment of hope that seemed to break through the clouds of uncertainty. Across the country, people gathered in the streets, their faces lit with cautious optimism. For a nation so often battered by disappointment, this was a moment to breathe, to believe, even if just for a day, that change was possible. The reason for this hope was María Corina Machado, the unwavering face of Venezuela's democratic opposition. Against all odds, she was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, recognized on the world stage for her relentless fight for freedom, her courage in the face of repression, and her refusal to give up on her country's future. The Nobel Committee praised her extraordinary bravery, calling her a symbol of peaceful resistance in the darkest of times. For many Venezuelans, the award was more than just a medal. It was a beacon, a sign that the world still cared about their struggle, and that their voices had not been forgotten. Machado's journey to this moment had been anything but easy. She had faced threats, intimidation, and violence. She had stood up to Maduro's regime, risking her freedom and her safety, and had become a target for those who feared her message of change. Yet, she never wavered, continuing to speak out, organize, and inspire others to join her cause. With the Nobel Peace Prize, Machado was suddenly elevated from a national figure to a global symbol. Her story was broadcast around the world, fueling optimism that, perhaps, international attention could help tip the balance. For the first time in years, many Venezuelans dared to hope that change might finally be within reach, that the world was watching and willing to stand with them. Yet, beneath the celebrations, a sobering reality remained. The government Machado opposed still held all the power. The streets were still patrolled by security forces, the institutions still controlled by those resistant to reform. The Nobel, for all its prestige, could not change the daily hardships faced by millions, nor could it open closed doors or fill empty shelves overnight. The paradox was clear. Machado was honored for a fight that was far from over. Her victory was deeply symbolic, a recognition of her courage and the hopes of her supporters. But in a country where democracy still felt out of reach, it was a reminder of how much work remained. The struggle for free elections, for justice, and for a better future was still ongoing, and the risks were as real as ever. The world cheered, and for a brief moment, Venezuela was at the center of global attention. But as the celebrations faded, the path ahead remained uncertain, filled with both hope and hardship. For Venezuela, the fight for democracy was not yet won, and the story was far from finished. Machado's Nobel win came on the heels of Venezuela's most controversial election yet, a contest that would test the nation's faith in democracy and the world's patience with authoritarianism. The streets of Caracas buzzed with anticipation, as millions of Venezuelans lined up at polling stations, hoping their voices would finally be heard after years of political turmoil and economic hardship. Machado had done what many thought impossible. She united a fractured opposition, won the primary by a landslide, and inspired a new generation of activists. Her campaign was a beacon of hope, promising not just political change, but a chance for Venezuelans to reclaim their future. Crowds gathered at her rallies, waving flags and chanting her name, believing that this time, things could be different. But the Maduro regime, threatened by her surging popularity and the momentum she had built, responded with a heavy hand. In a move condemned worldwide as a shameless power grab, they banned Machado from running, citing dubious legal grounds. The decision sparked outrage both inside Venezuela and abroad, with human rights groups and foreign governments calling it a blatant attack on democracy. Undeterred by the setback, Machado refused to give up. She threw her support behind Edmundo González Urrutia, a respected figure who quickly became the new face of the opposition. Together they rallied supporters determined to keep the dream of change alive despite mounting obstacles. On election day, the atmosphere was electric. Exit polls pointed to a clear opposition victory, and for a brief moment, hope surged through the country. But that hope was quickly dashed when Maduro's government declared itself the winner, sparking disbelief and anger among voters. Allegations of fraud and manipulation erupted almost immediately, plunging Venezuela back into crisis. Protests broke out in the streets and the sense of betrayal was palpable. Many wondered if true democracy would ever return. the international community refused to recognize the results, denouncing the election as neither free nor fair. Machado, though barred from office, emerged as the moral leader of the movement, her voice echoing far beyond Venezuela's borders as she called for justice and reform. Her steadfastness in the face of stolen democracy, her refusal to be silenced, and her unwavering commitment to her people were at the heart of her Nobel recognition, a symbol of hope for Venezuela and for all who fight for freedom. The deadlock after the election broke dramatically in January 2026. The Trump administration launched a swift military operation, ousting Maduro from power with little resistance. Many expected Machado, the Nobel laureate and opposition leader, to finally take the helm. But the US had other plans. Instead, they installed Delcy Rodríguez, Maduro's former vice president, as acting president, a move that stunned both Venezuelans and the world. Rodríguez, a regime insider, was seen as a stabilizing force, able to command the loyalty of the military and bureaucracy. For Machado and her supporters, it was a bitter betrayal. The dictator was gone, but democracy was still denied. The fight for real change was far from over. Refusing to be sidelined by the shifting tides of Venezuelan politics, María Corina Machado made a move that stunned both her supporters and critics. With the world's eyes on Caracas, she seized the moment, determined to shape the future of her country rather than be a bystander to history. Her resolve was unshakable. She would not let the opportunity slip away. Just days after Maduro's dramatic ouster, Machado boarded a plane to Washington, D.C., her mission clear. She arrived at the White House, where she was ushered through the iconic halls and into the heart of American power. There, in the Oval Office, she met President Trump, a meeting that would reverberate across continents. In a moment charged with symbolism, Machado presented Trump with her Nobel Peace Prize medal. The gesture was bold, even theatrical, a calculated risk designed to capture his attention and signal her willingness to forge a new alliance. The room was thick with anticipation as she placed the medal in his hands. Machado explained that the medal was not just a token of gratitude, but a symbol of partnership and hope for a new era between Venezuela and the United States. She appealed directly to Trump's sense of legacy, suggesting that together, they could reshape the future of the hemisphere. Her words were carefully chosen, her tone both respectful and assertive. She promised a Venezuela open to American interests and investment, emphasizing her vision of a pro-business, democratic nation. Machado painted a picture of a country ready to rebuild, eager for foreign partnerships, and committed to the rule of law. She positioned herself as the pragmatic alternative to the chaos of the past. The move was unprecedented. Never before had a Nobel laureate offered such a prize in the pursuit of political support. The world's media erupted in debate. Some called it a desperate ploy, a last-ditch effort to win favor from a powerful ally. Others saw it as a masterstroke of political theater, a courageous act that broke with convention. Critics argued that Machado's gesture cheapened the Nobel, turning a symbol of peace into a bargaining chip. Yet her supporters rallied behind her, insisting she was willing to risk everything for the chance to secure her country's future. The debate raged on, dividing public opinion, both at home and abroad. For Machado, the gamble was clear. She needed Trump's endorsement to transform her symbolic victory into real, lasting power. The stakes could not have been higher, and she knew that every move would be scrutinized by allies and adversaries alike. As news of the Oval Office meeting spread, the world watched with bated breath, waiting to see how President Trump would respond to Machado's audacious offer, and what it would mean for the future of Venezuela. Trump's answer was swift and unsentimental. He accepted the medal but made it clear, U.S. policy would not change. Trump doubted Machado's ability to govern, citing her lack of support from Venezuela's military and institutions. Instead, he praised Delcy Rodríguez as a practical choice for stability, despite her ties to the old regime. For Trump, order and oil mattered more than ideals. Machado's appeal to democracy and her Nobel Prize failed to sway him. Her hopes for US-backed leadership faded, leaving her cause in limbo. News of Machado's gesture prompted a rare statement from the Nobel Committee. They clarified, the medal could be gifted, but the honor and title of Nobel laureate could not be transferred. The act was symbolic. Trump could hold the medal, but not the prize. The committee's intervention protected the award's integrity, ensuring Machado's name remained in history. Trump, long frustrated at not winning a Nobel himself, could not claim the title. Legally, the gift skirted controversy, but the message was clear. The Nobel's true value was not for sale. The medal sat in Washington, but the honor stayed with Machado. The world took note of the distinction. The Trump administration's Venezuela policy was now driven by two priorities: stability and oil. Democracy took a back seat to securing American interests and regional order. Trump saw Rodriguez as the quickest path to a stable oil-producing Venezuela. He warned her, cooperate with the US, or face consequences. Free elections became a distant promise, with the White House offering only vague assurances. For Washington, oil and order outweighed democratic ideals. Machado's plan to win US support misread the new reality. Outcomes mattered more than principles. The promise of democracy was now just a talking point, secondary to energy and control. Venezuela entered 2026 in a new kind of limbo. Maduro gone, but democracy still out of reach. Machado's bold gambit failed. She remained a celebrated symbol, but was sidelined at home. The US, focused on stability and oil, backed Rodriguez, leaving millions of Venezuelans disillusioned. The opposition was fractured, its leader outmaneuvered on the world stage. The future of democracy looked bleak, with elections postponed indefinitely. The message from Washington was clear: as long as oil flowed and order held, democracy could wait. Machado's Nobel Prize gave her a platform, but not the power to change her country's fate. The struggle for freedom continued, but the dawn that followed Maduro's fall was gray and uncertain.